Peace and blessings. Welcome to my channel. My name is Taj Utsi, and I am a certified financial coach. I am also the founder of True Financial Coaching, where our mission here is to educate, enlighten, and equip individuals with the financial literacy that is needed in order to get off of the rat wheel. What is the rat wheel? The rat wheel is when one is constantly financing objects that go down in value for them, but up in value for the banks. The wheel is only powered as long as the rat is in motion. So when one is constantly financing depreciating objects, they continue to keep that wheel in motion. It's not until when one wakes up and realizes that they are the rat that is powering the wheel that then they can create a plan, and then through consistent and disciplined implementation of that plan, they can allow themselves to get off of the rat wheel. Once they get off of the rat wheel, then they become free to do what they want when they want, instead of having to do the things that they don't want. Today's video is a video review, and it's a video review on a concept that has been around for some time. And actually, I came across it several years ago. And recently in some of my videos, I made mention of it, and others have made mention of it in my comments. They've been asking me about it. But that concept is velocity banking. Now, I'm going to play a video of someone teaching this concept, and they're using an actually real life scenario. But before I play the video, I just want to say that with this concept of velocity banking, does it work? Can it work? Yes, it can work. Is it a preferred method that I would recommend? Well, I'll hold off on that to the end. But I will say that the concept of velocity banking, it involves using debt to pay off debt. And for some, people say, well, I'm going to use the bank's money. I'm going to leverage this. I'm going to leverage that. That's all well and good. However, with this concept of velocity banking that involves using debt, you're pretty much just transferring debt. You're just transferring multiple debts and consolidating it into another debt. And the video will take a look at that and get into more detail, but I'll save my review or my comments or my perspective and my take on this particular concept. I'll save that to the end. But I want to play this video. It's about an hour long. I'm not going to play the whole video. Just going to play certain clips of it. And the individual that's teaching the concept, right, has nothing to do with the individual. I'm just looking at the concept, right? Because this person, she's teaching this concept, and I don't want anybody to think that it's something personal against her. No, it's not. It's nothing personal. This is just information that she's sharing, and I'm just reviewing and giving my take on it. So it's nothing about her, but it's just the concept of velocity banking. So play some clips of this video. Play the whole video. Play the video, but I'm gonna pause it, fast forward it, comment, and then we'll go from there. So again, hopefully this isn't be informative for those that have been asking me about velocity banking, what I thought about it, what I think about it. Here's the time. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen, pull this up, then we'll go from there.
Easy. Her income, $7,200 per month. All right. Let's look at her expenses. Now, expenses are food, gas, car insurance, any other insurance you're paying for life insurance. And you're talking about subscriptions, right? So your Netflix, whatever else you have, food, gas, car insurance. Oh my gosh, it goes on and on. I have alarm subscriptions too. If you're paying for Zoom, for example, you're doing those subscriptions. If any kind of clothing that you buy, whatever it is that you're spending throughout the month. If you have child support, some of you guys have child support, that is considered an expense, and I put that under living expenses because it's something that you have to pay. Your electric bills, water bills, all that stuff, you have to pay them, right? So since you have to pay them, and they are a regular monthly expense, I put that under living expenses. We're going to look and see what her living expenses are here. Okay, so her living expenses are pretty high for what I usually see. She's got storage fees that she pays. She pays for prescriptions. She has homeschool things, I guess, that she homeschools her kids. She has the cell phone bills, of course, like we all do. It looks like she pays for a website, even a subscription on that. So she's got different ones. She's got her groceries and her eating out as well. And I'm going to go to her debt right quick and let's check that out. She's got, wow. Okay, so she has a mortgage and a second mortgage. Ouch. I hate that. So we're definitely going to talk about how she can get out of that. She's got the credit card debt and she's got a personal loan debt. Okay. Whew, this is going to be interesting, but this is going to be fun because you're going to see somebody that's got some debt, and then we're going to talk about how quickly she's going to be able to get rid of that. So back to her living expenses. She has $3,300 in living expenses. All right, and then we're going to do her debt payments. What does she pay in debt payments every month? That's where they get us. That's where they get us.
All right, so just real quick, see, this is an individual that that's being used in this particular scenario where the income is $7,200. I'm assuming that's the net, right, after taxes. And you can see the living expenses. She said about $3,300. So you're looking at a little less than half, right, of monthly income, which is not bad. It's not bad. So expenses, as she said, anything that keeps one's life afloat, right? Expenses is different from debt. Debt is attached to a loan. Expenses are things that keep your everyday life going. So right now, she's about a little less than 50%, probably about 48, 49% of her income is towards expenses, which means, right, as the lady said in this video, the debt, because you would think, well, she got $3,300 in living expenses. That means she has about $3,900 left over. It's good money. It's good money. And like I say, it doesn't cost a lot to live. Life is not expensive, but we make life expensive due to the choices that we make concerning financing. All right, so I'm gonna let the video play, and then we're gonna take a look at her debt situation, see what that looks like.
Is where you have to pay the interest on those debts. So let's talk about what she's got. Her total debt payments are $2,600 approximately. Let's talk about what that looks like. So she's got the mortgage and the second mortgage. Okay. Now let's talk about what the balances are. She's got low balances on these two loans. So one is about, and I'm just going to use even numbers for math's sake, 103,000 balance, and then she's got a $65,000 balance on the first and the second mortgage. Okay. So she has a 6.5% interest rate. Wow. On this second. That's painful, isn't it? And she's got a 3.13% on the mortgage, which is ridiculous enough. So her payments on this without taxes and insurance on this 103, her monthly payment is $625 per month. And then her payment on this one is $420. Okay. So she has $2,600 in payments. She has.
I'm going to stop it right there. So let's take a look at this particular scenario. And she has a mortgage. Don't know what type of mortgage it is. I'm not sure. FHA, conventional. Let's just say it's a conventional. All right. And it probably is a conventional where it's not government backed as a FHA. 103K is the balance, $625 a month. She said not including taxes and insurance. So it's not bad. Mortgage payment $625 and the income is $7,200. About 8%, right? About 8%. Rule of thumb, you want to keep your mortgage payment about 25% or lower of your take home pay, your monthly take home. So in good shape. Not really sure about what the taxes and insurance is, and I don't think she mentions this in the video, but this is where she gets hit at. Now she has a second mortgage, right? She has a second mortgage, and that one you make $65K total balance, and she got a monthly payment of $420, right? So yeah, first of all, she has two mortgages on one property. Two mortgages on one property, which I don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, some people, they do, a lot of people do this. They take out, they get a HELOC, or in this case, it's a second mortgage. So she probably did was she just took the equity in the property. And again, the bank owns the property. You have a mortgage. You're not a homeowner. The bank owns the property. You got a HELOC, or in this case, a second mortgage, or they call a HELO, where it's just a loan and they give you a lump sum and you do whatever you want to with it. So she in this predicament where she has first mortgage and a second mortgage. Interest rate 3.1, not bad for the mortgage, and over 6% for the second mortgage, pretty high. But again, the question that has to be asked is that because she didn't say this, right? What is the savings that this individual has? Because she talked about the income, talked about the debt payment and the expenses. Where's the savings at? Because if you have savings, you really don't have to go through this process that she's going to explain with the velocity banking. right? And one thing that she mentioned is how quick that she can make these payments, right? Or pay off this debt. Most people are focused on that. They're focused on how quick they can do it and the interest, which I understand is good. But don't worry about how fast it's going to be paid off. Just put the time in, put the work in, and eventually it's going to get paid off. Yes, you want to have a goal and a plan, specifically a plan. But if this plan involves, and as she's going to talk about, taking out more debt to pay off debt, then you might want to revisit that plan. But let's just finish playing this video and see how it plays out.
625 and 420 in these two. Now she still has $1,555 in payment, so let's look and see what that is. First, we'll go to this personal loan that she has. It is at a 3.75% interest rate, and the balance is $23,000. And the monthly payment on that is $205. Okay, so this must be long and drawn out for it to.
All right, I'm gonna just fast forward and just get to the total debt. I'm gonna just fast forward real quick. All right. She talks about each one individually, but I'll just fast forward till we get to it. All right.
All right, so now we have the income. We're showing the two mortgages, the personal loan, that's a 3.75. Then we've got the credit cards and the car loan, okay? So when we are looking at her monthly payment, she's got $2,600 in monthly payments on her debt. $3,300 is her living expenses, which is the car insurance, the food, gas, all that stuff we already talked about. And her income is $7,200. So let's see what kind of cash flow she has. $7,200, taking away everything she spends in living expenses, and then the $2,600 that she has in monthly payments. That means she has a cash flow of $1,300.
All right. So again, cash flow is just money difference between your income and your outflow, right? Your inflow and your outflow, the difference. So she has a positive cash flow, $1,300. Just take the income minus the expenses and the debt. Now, again, in this video, she never mentioned savings. What I recommend before you even start paying off debt, after you create your budget and you can see, what your outflow is, what your income is, and see what that cash flow, that difference is. All right, for the month, if you got $1,300, what I recommend is get that emergency savings fund first, that starter one. Some people say, get to start off with something small, $1,000. Right? I know Dave Ramsey talks about that. Depends on the individual, right? When I consult with individuals, I don't get a cookie cutter, one size fits all type of method. Sometimes I might say, well, just get 1 month first, just to start off as that emergency fund. So with this person, her living monthly expenses is $3,300. So it would be wise for her to have at least 1 month worth of savings just to start off in that emergency fund. Because again, there was nothing was mentioned about savings. And this is the danger when you don't have an emergency fund first before you start tackling your debt, is that if an unexpected event happens, because you don't have that emergency fund already established, that starter one, what's going to happen? You're going to rely on the credit cards. You're going to rely on payday loans or personal loans. And all that is doing is what? Getting you right back what you're trying to get out of. So in this video, nothing about an emergency savings that to my understanding, to my knowledge, was mentioned. So you want to have that emergency savings fund first before you start tackling the debt. If it's $1,000, all right, or 1 month's worth of expenses, just something as that cushion between yourself and life's unexpected events. So this person's cash flow is $1,300. So just theoretically, if she only needs 1 month of expenses as a starter emergency fund, $3,300, take her about 2.5 months to get that. Right, just based upon this, just based upon the numbers that are being provided. 33 divided by 13 is about 2.5. And pull out the calculator. I got the calculator. Let's just do the math real quick. 3,300 divided by 1,300. Yep, 2.5, 2.5 months. So once take her 2.5 months to get that, then she can start tackling the debt. Let's keep it playing.
Okay. So I'm going to add up my math again just to make sure we've got everything right. So 625, 420, 205, 250, 240, 100, 35, 35. Then we've got 690, 2,600. Okay. So everything's right on the board. Now we're going to start looking at how she can eliminate some debt. Now, if you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know that I'm going to usually take the credit cards and turn some of them into expense cards. Why do I do that? Why wouldn't I do that? Guys, you're already paying for the living expenses. You're already paying for it. So what does that mean? Well, that means if her credit card number one has a $7,250 balance on it, her payment is $250 per month, right? So
I'm gonna stop it real quick because what she about to explain, all right, it does make sense, right? It makes sense what she's about to say, because what she's saying is just use credit cards to cover your everyday expenses, your monthly expenses, things that you already going to pay. Makes sense, right? That's how I use my credit cards. I'm already know certain things like gas. I know I got to get gas, put it on the card, and then just pay it off end of the month, right? Whatever some people might put subscriptions on it. You're going to pay that anyway, pay it off at the end of the month. You might put other things every day, groceries or whatever. I'm going to spend this money anyway, put it on the card, pay it off by the end of the month. I'm with that. She calls it using it as expense cards. I'm good with that. However, what disagree with what she's saying here is using it while you're paying off the debt. I'm against that order, because what I realize when dealing with people, when working with individuals, getting out of debt is a lot of realigning or just reshaping your way of thought. Right? It's about training your mind set from one thing to another form of thinking. And I'm telling you, when you're paying off debt, it's a mindset where you have to feel that pain of paying back what you borrowed. And what she's about to explain, it kind of, all right, you're going to feel it, but the order in which she's doing it, disagree with, because again, it's a way of thinking. It's a shift of mindset. And If you have an individual that's still using credit cards and saying, I'm going to pay off the debt while using the credit card, that's a recipe for destruction. You know why? Because there's been no shift of mindset. There's been no shift of the mindset. So yeah, using the credit cards as expense cards, cool. But do that after, right? Do that after you done eliminated the debt on the credit card. Because again, part of that shift of the mindset involves pain. It's just like it's with anything. Even with a child, you want to get a child to change their mind. You want to start disciplining the child and have a mind change, have that child mindset change towards things. There's some pain involved in that. So that every time the child thinks about doing that act, it triggers something. And I'm telling you, what she's about displaying, cool. But the order in which she's telling people to do it in, not while you're paying off debt.
If I already pay for my food every month, why wouldn't I put my income into my credit card to pay for my food? What does that do? Yes. When my food, and say it's $1,000 per month that I'm putting in as income for food, right? Because I'm going to be paying for the food anyway. It's going to reduce this balance. It's going to have an effect on the interest that I pay. But when the income goes in, that monthly payment has been satisfied. So if I have 13.
That is true. And I'm saying what she's saying is true. But again, the order. I was a math teacher for 25 years. And even growing up in the school district, in schools, they taught how to solve math problems with multi operations. There was something called PEMDAS, order of operations. We know it, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right. Addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. Follow those order of operations, you get the correct answer. You go out of order, you're gonna have a problem. That's what this is. What she's saying, yes, I agree. You can use your credit card as expense cards, as long as you pay it off at the end of the month. Interest doesn't accrue. You know, if you into all that points and rewards, cool. But you gotta follow the order. What she's doing, she's going out of order. And I'm telling you, it's going to cause a problem because the people that this individual right here, look at her situation. Just look at it. First mortgage, second mortgage, personal loan, 5 credit cards, car loan. So now you're telling somebody with this record to, okay, pay off debt and use credit cards at the same time as expense tools. And they call it, debt weapons or whatever they want to call it. You're telling a person that has put themselves in this type of situation, showing, that there's no discipline, right? Because look at the record, look at the numbers, look at the report. There's some lack of discipline. So now you're telling them, look, okay, we're going to get you out of debt, but to get you out of debt, we're going to ask you to use debt at the same time. That is a recipe for destruction. But I'm going to just let it play.
$1,500 in cash flow right now. Wouldn't that increase my cash flow too, from 1,300 to 250? Whoop-de-doo. I am up to $1,550 in cash flow doing nothing but using my credit card correctly. Let's look at credit card number 2. $7,050 is my balance. 240 is what I'm paying for a payment. So what happens if I say, hey, you know what? My gas, I have to pay for my gas and car insurance. How about if I use this card to do that? And my gas, I spend, I don't know. So this, let's see, this is the food. My gas is $250 per month, right? For gas. And then let's throw our $200 car insurance in there. And let's just go ahead and pay that too. What did that do to my balance? 7,050 minus 250 and then minus 200, 6,600. Right? But more than that, when I put the 250 in and I put the 200 in, I have satisfied what payment? 240 that I was going to be paying for this stuff anyway. I just put my income in to cover things I'm going to be paying for anyway. My $240 payment has been satisfied. So if I'm adding 240 more dollars here, I have $1,790 in cash flow. For what? Making one move? For changing the way I feel about my credit cards?
I understand what she's saying. I do. I don't agree with it at all. I don't agree with this concept at all. Now she's saying again, all right, you got $1,300 cash flow to start with. But because now you're putting your expenses on your credit card, you're satisfying a payment. So now because you're doing that, now you're gaining more cash flow. You're gaining more cash flow, she's saying, because okay, you're satisfying that $250 payment that you would have been making anyway. So now you just got that $250. I get it, but I'm telling you, these people that promote velocity banking, I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but I want to know what the percentages are for those people that have attempted velocity banking and have been successful at it. Because I'm telling you, this right here, if most individuals don't have the discipline, this will put people in more debt. It'll put you in deeper debt. It'll put you in deeper debt. I ain't going to say it doesn't work, but I'm just going to say there's some risk involved with this strategy right here. Some high risk involved, and I'll get into them a little later. But this strategy, I would not recommend this. I would not recommend this. See, what I would do, and I'm gonna just touch this real quick. But what I recommend and what I've done is the debt snowball. Put all the debts in order, smallest to largest, regardless of the interest. Because the interest, again, is not the problem. It's the debt. The interest is simply the penalty for not having the money. It's the penalty for not having the money. So the interest is not the problem. If you eliminate the debt, there is no interest. So look at this. Look at this. If I did the math, I was going to save it towards the end, but I'm going to do it as I go along. I did the math myself. So I have a special calculator, and I'll get into that a little in another video, but I have a special calculator, right? I call it my handy dandy calculator. This is a HP 12C, right? It does a whole lot different from your regular iPhone calculator. I will put the debt in order from smallest to greatest. Once you save that baby, that starter emergency fund, take you about 2.5 months to do that. You can eliminate 2 debts right after that in one day because you got a $1,300 cash flow. You can eliminate 2 credit cards after you get your emergency savings fund. You can eliminate credit card number 4, which has 653, and credit card number 5 that you put, which has a $425 balance. That's 2 credit cards knocked out in one day. Why? Because you got a $1,300 cash flow. The smallest credit cards add up to about what, 1078. And right there, you're done. Now you done increase your true cash flow by $70 a month. Why? Because you're making minimum payments of 35 and 35 on those 2 cards. So what she's saying, how can you increase the cash flow when you still have the debt? How is that possible? The debt is still there. Again, all she's doing is transferring debt to a person that is in deep debt. Do you think that individual, they just prove that their discipline is not there because of their situation? Somebody say, well, you don't know the situation. All right, fine. I don't know the situation. However, look at the numbers. Yes, she is using the credit card to pay her stuff she was going to pay for, and that is the way you're supposed to use it. But again, there's an order, and this lady, this concept, because there's nothing about the lady, right? She's just teaching the concept, but this concept is going out of order.
For having the aha moment of what? Oh, hold on. I'm already paying for my expenses. How about if I just pay for them through the credit card and I gain about $500 in cash flow per month? How many out there of you are doing that and you don't even know that you're doing it? You don't even realize. Okay? You don't even realize that it's that easy. That's exactly how I started this game. That's how I started Velocity Banking. And that would be so easy for you. We are just not educated. I was not taught this in high school. I was not taught this in college. I was not taught this by my parents.
All right, and that's the truth. Like I said, that's the truth. Just lack of knowledge, right? Lack of knowledge. And like I said, I was a teacher for 25 years, and my last couple of years, I tried to promote this financial literacy. Even while I was on my sabbatical, those that know, I shared my story about taking a sabbatical, like the year before I retired, and came back from the sabbatical, retired. But during that sabbatical year, I was putting out so many proposals for financial literacy, about 10 high schools and some middle schools as well. Everybody shot it down. They shot it down. But it's all good. It's all good. But you're right. And make me thought like the system is designed to keep people on that rat wheel. One thing, interesting thing that she said also was about this concept or, strategy will help you change the way you feel about credit cards. I don't feel any way about a credit card. It's just a credit card. What do you mean? It's just a tool. Like this pen is a tool. I don't feel any way about this. I just use it for what I need it for, what it was designed for. Calculator, tool, right? Just use it for what it was designed for, right? Wallet, it's a tool. Use it for what it's designed for. Phone, tool. Use it for what it's designed for. No feelings involved. And this is what I'm saying. That people talk about, feelings, how you feel about credit cards. It's a tool. I use it when I need it, and that's it. I don't feel no type of way. And people talk about good debt, bad debt. Debt is debt. There are no feelings involved in that. Let it play. I'm gonna fast forward, get to another part, because again, this is about an hour video. Not too bad. But I'm gonna just fast forward to about the 33-minute mark, where she starts talking about some other stuff that I want to look at. All right, here we go.
Little interest payment that they're charging. One more thing I want to talk about with this. This is credit card number 1. The balance is $72.50 currently for her. She pays $250 per month. Okay, so we're going to do some basic math. The percent on this credit card that she's getting charged in interest is 29.99%. All right. So we're going to multiply 7250 times 29.99%. That is $2,174.27. All right, so now we have to divide this by 365 days if you want to know what the daily rate is, because this is for the entire year, okay? 2174 is interest on 7250 for the whole year. So let's divide that by 365 so that we know how much we are paying in interest per day. $5.95 per day in interest only. Then take that by 30 days, and that's going to tell you what she's paying in interest for the month. So $178.50 for interest for the whole month. She's only paying $250. So $250 is her monthly payment. She's charged $178.50 per month. So $71.50 is all that's going towards this $7,250.
All right, and I thought this was an interesting part, because most people don't even know how to calculate this, and she did a good job with explaining that. Right, the APR is what you're charged for the year, but you want to break it down, right? Because they charge you by the day. So as far as the interest, 300, that's why she divided by 365 to show how much you're going to be paying each day. So she took the 7250, multiplied it by the percent of the interest for the year, divided that by 365. That's what they pay in a day. Multiply by 30, and you get $178.50. All that is what's going towards the interest, right? On that $250 minimum payment. And like I said, interest is the penalty for not having the money. You didn't have the money to buy it, so you need the banks to buy it for you. And they all right, we'll buy this for you, right? But you got to pay us back with interest. It's a penalty attached to that. So this is why I say, if you're going to use a credit card after you get out of debt, if you're going to use a credit card, only use it for what you're going to, your expenses, as long as you got the money and you pay that back at the end of the month. That's how you use it. Otherwise, you look at that. Look at that. The most of the percent of the payment is interest. You're looking about what? 70% is going towards interest. Let me do the math real quick. So, people don't just think I'm making these numbers up. All right. So you got 178.50 divided by 250. 71% going towards interest. 71.4 to want to be exact, going towards interest. And of course, it's going to take you forever. You just making minimum payment, it's going to take you forever to pay that off. It's going to take you forever. I can figure that out. You know, that's what I'm saying. I got the calculator. It'll take you forever to pay that off. Just making a minimum payment, that's going to take you forever to pay that off, a long time. But this is why they use terms like velocity banking, right? So it make you think you're going to pay it off fast. But there's a risk, a high risk in using this method. They have a saying, the tortoise always beats the hare. The tortoise always beats the hare, right? That old fable, Aesop's fables, tortoise and the hare going fast. Tortoise, hare was fast. But who won the race? The tortoise did. So don't get caught up with these terms, velocity banking, to see how fast you can pay it off. It's going to take you some time, but I'm telling you, I'm going to show you after the end. You'll see.
This right here, the 178.50, where did it go? Nowhere.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward because I'm move on a little bit further. 40-minute mark. See, this one she really gets into some other stuff. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Correctly as expense cards, and we start cutting back a little bit of our interest. How about that? Or better yet, how about if we learn about what certain HELOCs do if you have a home?
Here we go. She's getting into the HELOC, home equity line of credit. And this is how she's going to use the velocity banking. This is her expense tool or debt weapon, whatever they want to call it. But she's going to get a HELOC, use a HELOC, take out the equity in the property that the homeowner, quote unquote homeowner, think they have, when it's really the equity that belongs to the bank. The bank is loaning that to you. Why? Because they own the home. When you have a mortgage, you're not a homeowner. But the banks will make you believe that. I thought I was one. And I didn't even think it. I just ran along with the program because in my mind, I'm just thinking, how am I a homeowner? And I always thought that. They would ask on certain applications, whatever you rent or you own, and I would always hesitate in checking that own box because I'm like, dang, I'm paying rent to the bank. I got a mortgage. But I just checked it, whatever. But they make you think you're a homeowner, make you think you got equity. If it was your equity, why would I have to get a line of credit or a loan? I just go to my bank when I need money, right? My emergency fund or whatever. I need money. I just take it out. Why? Because it belongs to me. I don't need a loan on my money. But this is the program.
A home equity line of credit is a HELOC. We're going to be talking about that right now because she still has 23 years left on this mortgage here. Don't know.
23 years left. I'm assuming that it's a 30-year mortgage. And it doesn't take that long to pay off a house. Doesn't take that long.
How much she has here, but I guarantee you that it's a long while. Okay? Probably 20 years if I know how the second mortgages work. But we're going to talk about this mortgage because she has good equity in her home. Okay? She is just sitting here spinning her wheels in this ridiculous interest when she doesn't have to be, which that's what we're going to be talking to her about today. Now, the equity in her home, she has $350,000 for a value in her property currently. All right. And I'm going to say most states do 85%, but let's just say 80%. Okay. So if you take 350 times 80%, let's see what that looks like. $280,000 would be the loan to value on this 350,000 at 80%. Okay. So if she has now a line of credit at $280,000, because this is a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, it's revolving. We do not want a HELO. That's a loan. Okay. We need a HELOC, a line of credit. Please understand those are two different things. Okay. If you don't understand the difference, please go look at the live yesterday. I'm pretty sure that I went over this yesterday. But a line of credit is revolving. That means your income, all money.
Line of credit is revolving. That means you're on the rat wheel. It's revolving. You are powering the wheel. And this is what I'm saying. The wheel is only powered as long as the rat is in motion. So when an individual is constantly financing, they are keeping that wheel going. So this home equity line of credit is for $280,000. $280,000. Now, well, I'll let it play because all she gonna. I'll let it play. I'll let it play. Let it play. Where we at? All right. I wrote down some timestamps, so I'm gonna fast forward to because she goes on a little bit more. 44-minute mark. Let's see where we at. All right, here we go.
And getting your finances in order. But we just had a question. What happens if I lose my job? What happens if you lose your job and you have a mortgage payment? Do you think they're going to say, oh, bless you, okay?
See? And go, I'm going to let her finish. Go.
How about you can just stop making payments until, you get another job. It'll be okay. No, that's not realistic. No, what they're going to say is, well, if you think you're going to be late, we may be able to set a payment back to the back of the mortgage. You might be able to put a payment or two back there. But are you going to miss it? Nope. You're not going to be able to miss your payments. Well, I know.
So this is what I said. This is where the emergency fund comes in at. What happens if I miss if I lose my job, and I'm already have my emergency fund, and I've been using the debt snowball? Well, if I have a starting emergency fund of 1 month of expenses, I can be all right for 1 month or whatever. Some people say $1,000 1 month. Some may say start off with 3 months before you pay off your debt. And again, I do that based upon the individual when I meet with them one-on-one. But if an individual does lose their job, I got at least 1 month of living expenses where on that time I can look for another job, right? Or if I got 3 months of living expenses, but I have some type of cushion. Whereas in this case, there was no savings mentioned. Now, what she's going to say is, well, if I lose my job and I have a HELOC, a line of credit, and I'm using this velocity banking, I can pull from the line of credit. What is that to put me deeper in debt? Deeper in debt. I can use the line of credit to get me through. Again, you're not changing a mindset. Velocity banking, and I'm not saying nothing's wrong with this. I'm not saying nothing wrong with this right here, right? Velocity banking is like a person that's trying to lose weight and they just go get surgery, liposuction surgery, get the stomach reduction or whatever. Something quick. But it doesn't change a mindset. Whereas a person that want to lose weight and they eating habits are changing, they're exercising, what are they doing? They're disciplining themselves. Because not only are they changing the physical, they're changing the mental. And then they're going to not only get results, but they're going to stick to that process. Why? Because they went through the pain to get to where they wanted to be. Whereas, and then I'm not saying nothing wrong with all that. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying is when a person like that maybe just go get stomach reduction or liposuction, whatever, they got something quick. They didn't go through the rigor of the discipline that it took that other person. And as the result, I'm not saying in every case, right? But that mindset hasn't changed. And because the mindset hasn't been changed, they might have a higher chance of going back to their old eating habits, right? Going back to those eating habits that got them where they were at that size they didn't want to be. That's how velocity banking is. You're just using debt to eliminate debt. When you didn't eliminate anything, you just transferred. You just went from one bank to another bank. Went from one master to another master at a smaller interest rate. Whereas the individual that put in the work, maybe use the debt snowball, even the debt avalanche. I've recommended debt snowball, but they put that work in. They created a budget. They established an emergency fund. They cut back on certain things that was, not necessary. They disciplined their mindset. They disciplined their habits. And they put the work in. They felt that pain. And when they feel that pain of paying back everything they had to pay to get out of debt, they ain't going to want to go back to that because they know what it took to get to where they were. Whereas the person that's doing the velocity banking, I'm not saying it doesn't work because it has been proven that it has worked. But on the other hand, what has been learned? You just learned how to use debt. That's it. Because the title is Debt Be Gone. The debt hasn't been gone. It's just transferred. And you're going to keep paying off that debt and with penalties. When the debt is really gone, there is no penalty. There is no interest. I'm going to let it keep playing. I'm gonna keep playing. Let it keep playing.
No, I know. When you've been paying your mortgage for,
I'm fast forward. Go to like 47-minute mark. All right, here we go.
and it will change yours when you start using them correctly. Mm-hmm. All right, now back to this. Her home's property valued at $350,000. The loan to value is 80% in her state. It's up to 90, 95% in some states. You just have to know which bank you're working with. So the $280 loan to value is 80% of what her property value is, okay? So 280,000 is available to her. Well, they can pay off the home here. Okay, so this mortgage, the 625 payment, gone. Wow. Well, that was easy. Okay. Not only that,
It's not gone. How is it gone when it's still there? All she How is that payment gone when it's all right? The monthly payment is gone, but the debt is still there. And that's the problem. Like, you're just looking at a monthly payment. The debt is still there. You just transfer, juggle. It's a juggling act. It's juggling. It's a juggling act. 6, 7. It's a juggling act. That's it. Gone. It's still there. All right.
they're going to take this 65 and they're going to put it into this as well. Wow. Wait, what? 420? What? Okay, so that's gone. Woo. That feels good.
Look, this is unbelievable. It's still there. It's still there. The debt is not gone. It's still there. But she's saying, okay, I don't have to make that monthly payment anymore, not towards that bank, but now towards another bank. Why? You just been traded. You just been sold to another bank, another master. Unbelievable. I'm not saying nothing against this woman. I'm talking about the concept. The concept.
Okay. So now, okay. So now I have $168,000 in my revolving line of credit. Okay. So wait a minute. I can pay off my personal loan of $23,000 too.
How did you pay off the personal loan when you still have an HELOC? How did you pay off that personal loan? It's all mind games. It's all mind games.
Okay. All right. So that's gone. Okay. Wow. What? I can throw the credit cards in here or the car in here if I wanted to. Whew, I think I want to get that $690 back there on my car. So let's just pay it off. Okay. 25,000. So what if we
You didn't pay it off. You didn't pay it off. The debt is still there. Somebody say, well, if I pay it off, I get the title. That's an illusion. That's an illusion. One of my favorite movies is The Matrix, and there's a scene in The Matrix. One of the characters named Cypher, and he wanted to go back into the Matrix. Want to get hooked back up again after he'd been unplugged. He saw the other side. He didn't really, he didn't like that lifestyle. He didn't like that lifestyle. He wanted to go back into the Matrix. So he met with one of the agents, Agent Smith, at a restaurant, eating the steak. Looked at the steak. He said, I know this steak is not real. And even though you can taste it, the flavor, you can taste it, but it was all in the mind. But he said, I know the steak is not real. That's what this is. Making you think you paid off debt. That's not real, even though you got the title. You may have the title in your hand, but it's not real. Why? Because all you did was transfer the debt. It's not real. It's not real to you. When you're using velocity banking, it's not real. You just transferred the debt. Again, not saying nothing negative about this woman, but this concept right here,
gained in cash flow. She already had 1,300 in cash flow, remember? Now she's gained 625 for the house, 420 for the other house payment, 205 for that personal loan, 690 for the car loan. And what are our totals here? 168, 23, and 25. Okay, we're at 216,000. We can easily pull in the credit cards, at least the ones that are charging us the high interest. So let's go ahead and add 7,250 and 7,050. We're gaining the almost 500 in cash flow there. So we'll add that 250 and 240. And so let's see what we have in total debt is 230,000. Hope I'm not too low on the board. 300. Okay. So now instead of having all of this, she now has one line and it has $230,300 on it. So out of...
Stop that real quick. I just want this to settle in. Just looking at this. Now, all he did was transfer debt, and she's going to use the HELOC. And she's going to explain, but she's going to put her income on it to pay down the HELOC, right? Minus the expenses, minus the monthly payment for the HELOC payment. They're not including like the fees involved into this stuff, all that. This is a dangerous strategy for many. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but this is a dangerous strategy because it tackles symptoms. It treats symptoms. What are the symptoms that it's treating? All right, the debt payments. But it's not going to the source of the problem, which is the behavior. Because I'm telling you, a person like this that's using this strategy, if the behavior, the mindset hasn't changed, they're going to be right back in debt. This lady mentioned nothing about emergency savings. Okay, you transferred debt. Like I said, I did the math, and she could have knocked off the smallest credit cards in the day with the cash flow, keep using that, making minimum payments while you're making minimum payments on everything else. Once you knock that off, then you can attack the next debt, which was that $4,785 with the 0% interest, $100 monthly payment. Just take the 235s. Now you're paying a $170 a month on that. Can get rid of that. I did the math. I did the math. That can be done in 4 months' time, as opposed to transferring this all to this, and the debt is still there. I'll pay it off. Boom. I don't got to worry about it no more. Then you knock off the other one, the 70-50 one. Just keep making minimum payments on that while the other debt was being taken care of. By the time you get to that, knock that off, you had that done in like 5 months. Then you're done with it. You're done with it. Whereas now all you're doing is transferring debt. The debt is still there. But in your mind, the person that's doing this is gone. Debt be gone. The debt is not gone. It still exists. It still exists.
Of the 280 available, she is using $230,300 of it, which means that she has $49,700 available that is sitting here just waiting for her to use it, or cushion. Maybe, just maybe, she would leave that sitting there for any life struggle that comes up she's not expecting.
Oh, so now
maybe
let's see.
Going down the road, she may need another car.
That's what I'm talking about.
A house repair.
I'm talking about.
I mean,
this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You're going, all right, that difference between that 280 and that 230, 50,000, 47 to be exact, 47 something to be exact. She's saying that's your emergency fund. That's not your emergency fund. That's not your emergency fund. But this is the mindset that people have. I'm going to use credit cards for emergency fund. Wait a minute. Why don't we have cash for emergency funds? Why don't we have our own money for emergency funds? Why do we got to use the bank's money for emergency funds? She said, use this for the cushion between life. That's what the emergency fund is. And that's what she didn't mention in this video. She said, maybe you want to get a new car. Oh, so you mean tell me I want to go deeper in debt? Like get some house repairs. Oh, so go further in debt. But this is what I'm saying. They say they want to leverage the bank's money, leverage this, leverage that. Why use my money when I can use the banks? You know why you got to use the banks? Because you don't have any money. You don't have any money. That's why you got to use the bank money. This velocity banking will get an individual in trouble. They get you in trouble. You can have, now she's going to say how long it's going to take to get out of the debt with using this strategy, theoretically, right? So I'll go on with that. Let me move forward. Move up like 55-minute mark. Let's see where we at. All right, let's go see where we at.
Okay. It's a lot more. It's a lot more. Okay, so now you have this debt of $230,000 that you're going to have to pay off. And we had 23 years left on the mortgage alone, remember? So we have $230,300 in a revolving line of credit at 9.5% interest. Now she makes $7,200 a month. So we're going to do some basic math. Follow along. This is basic math. Get your calculator. Go with me. I'm not doing magic. I'm doing math. Here we go. Her income can go directly into this line of credit now, okay? Because it has checks and debit cards, just like a checking account. So now we're going to start revolving.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Did she say, let me rewind this for a minute. Let me see something.
Income goes in now, okay? Because it's in math. Here we go. her income can go directly into this line of credit now, okay? Because it has checks and debit cards, just like a checking account. So
The line of credit is like a checking account. I don't pay 9.5% interest on my checking account. The banks can't call the loan on my checking account. There's no variable interest rates on my checking account. Okay. But HELOC is like a checking account. Okay. I just want to make sure I heard that right.
So now we're going to start revolving. Income.
We're going to, you know what she said? We're going to start revolving. We're going to start the rat wheel. We're going to start the rat wheel.
Goes in. So do the math. 230,300, 7,200 comes out. So, or goes in. So we got 223,100. Okay. Now this can be daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however she gets paid. It doesn't have to go in monthly. It's just whenever you get paid on the same day, I take and transfer my income into the line of credit. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start adding expenses because she has to buy gas. She has to go to the grocery store, right? She has to pay these other credit cards. She has to pay her car insurance. So this is where this begins. And remember, you don't pay everything on the same day. You may go to the grocery store today and spend $100. You may pay your car insurance tomorrow of $200. You may go get gas on Friday and spend $50. So throughout the month, this is going to start piling back up. We no longer have this, right? We only have 3 very small payments, and let's say that she pays $200 a month in payments or whatever, but she still has her living expenses. So let's say about $3,500 is going to come back out to buy their food, their gas, their subscriptions, whatever. So this goes back up. And then we've got to calculate the interest, because we definitely want to make sure that we're paying our interest. Now, what happened to the payment on this account when she started throwing her income in? Right. It's satisfied any payment that would be due. What's going to be due? 9.5% interest is what she's going to have due, times 9.5%. So that means that $1,823 would be her first month's interest. And this is going to be the only and highest interest amount that she will pay on this account if she does velocity banking correctly. Okay? Sorry about that. Started getting a phone call. So we have got a balance of $228,423 after the interest applied, after her expenses all came back out. All right. So what does it mean for a payoff if her income's going in?
All right, real quick. Just in case you didn't understand what she was saying. So she started with the 230,000, put the income on it, right? Which lowered the balance, but you're paying the interest as well, which ups. Put the monthly expenses on it also. So that 3,500. So get to 226, 227 rounded up. But then she got to pay the interest as well, right? On that amount. So at the end of the month, that's what they're gonna have that balance of 228, 423 going into the next month. And then they just gonna, like they say, rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that. 7,200, add your interest, add your expenses, right? Then add the interest, and it's gonna lower. They're just gonna keep doing that same process, same process. What they're not telling you is, again, with a HELOC, and it's not really that common, but the banks can call this loan at any time. They can decide to foreclose or whatever. You're putting the property at risk, right? You're doing this, a lot of things. The bank can foreclose. One thing about a HELOC or more, you can get like tax deductions, but with this, if you're using HELOCs to pay off credit cards, there are no tax deductions on that. The interest rates can fluctuate. It's so much risk with paying off with using a HELOC. So much risk. Can it be done? Yes, but it requires a certain level of discipline. And if an individual has already been struggling with debt management, do you think that this is going to help them? It may make just one payment now, but then what's going to happen? This person is going to think they have extra money. They're going to think they have extra money. And then what they're going to do, go out and splurge, buy this, buy that, do this and do that. They're not going to take that extra money and put it towards this. They're not going to do that. That extra cash flow. They're not going to do that. Why? Because in their mind, I got extra money. I can do this. I can do that. I'm telling you, man. And it was a time I had thought about doing this, but it was like I couldn't get. I wasn't even trying to get no HELOC. I wasn't going to try to take out a personal loan. Wasn't trying to do that. But I had thought about it, crossed my mind. I had shared it with some brothers. One brother laughed at me. He laughed at me when I told him about this. Like, and I know why now. At the time, I'm like, man, brother laughing at me for. I know why though, because it doesn't make sense. You're going to tell somebody that's been struggling with debt for years, that now you tell them to get a HELOC, get a PLOC, and just put all your expenses on that, pay off the debt like that. Pay off the debt. Debt be gone. No, the debt is not gone. The debt is transferred. Juggling act. That's it. But they sell this concept because people want to get out of debt. Yes. But like I said, this is like liposuction. Why? Because the weight may be gone, but the mindset in many cases hasn't changed. And I'm not speaking about liposuction or stomach, none of that stuff. Do that, all right, get on the weight loss, shooting up with weight loss, with whatever drugs, whatever. All right, but if the mindset hasn't changed, the injections, you're going to go right back. So it is with this.
Her expenses are coming out. Her interest is coming out. What is going to be the payoff on this account? Well, from beginning, this being the high, to the end being zero, her average interest, and let's just do it, is going to be about, let's say, $915 per month in interest. Okay. Now, let's add her expenses, $3,500, because she's going to have to pay her expenses every month. So $915 plus $3,500, that's $4,315. Okay.
$915 is average. What happens if you lose your job, though? Like she said, now that's going to go back up. That balance is going to go back up. Let's finish this out. It's almost done.
And then we're talking about $7,200 in income per month. So that means her cash flow is $2,885. after the interest and everything applies. So the payoff, you would take the 228,423 and divide it by the 2885.
Yeah, that's if the person is going to use that extra money, that extra cash flow to pay off this loan earlier. I'm telling you, I am telling you, a high percentage of people that use this probably don't do that because they think they have extra money. They think they have extra money. I don't know what the percentage, the success rate of velocity banking, but I'm sure, I am certain that it is not greater than those that use the debt snowball, or even the debt avalanche. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, and again, the reason why, because no shift of mindset has taken place. So when she do the math, I think she get like 80.
And that's going to tell you how long she's going to be in the payoff process. 228.43 divided by 2885 equals. Anybody already have it? Not even 80 months. Oh, sorry, guys. I had to put my hand over it there for a second. Not even 80 months. Okay. TikTok is crazy there. Okay. So in 80 months, this account will be completely paid off. How long did she have left here? 23 years on the mortgage alone. 23 years. That's a whole lot more than 80 months, right?
80 months, like 6 years and like 8 months. So let me see this. I'm going to stop it. So, like I said, velocity banking, can it work? Yes, it can work, but it's too risky. Very high risk, very high risk. Whereas if you did the death snowball, and I did it real quick, I did the math. Even like I said, death snowball, you put your debts in order, smallest to largest. Make minimum payments on all the payments except for the smallest one. All extra money that you have, put it all towards the smallest debt till the end. Then you pay that, and then once you pay that off, you roll over that payment into the next smallest debt, making minimum payment plus what you was paying on that previous debt and extra money, put it on that second debt. If you was to do this with the numbers she gave, and I did the math too. Because I wanted to see using the death snowball, and not only that, it take you just establish. Let's say she didn't have an emergency fund, and you want to establish that emergency fund first. Take you about 2.5 months to pay that off, to get that emergency fund with those numbers, $3,300, $1,300 cash flow, about 2.5 months to get that emergency started. 1 month of expenses set up. Knock off the debt payments. You can have, and I did the math, you can have the credit cards paid off, the two lowest ones in a day. And then that other one, that 4785, had that in 4 months. The 7050 had that in 6 months. The 7250, that'll be done. I'm sorry, that the 7050 in 5 months. Same with that other one, that 7250 in 5 months. So just right there alone, with just the credit cards, the credit cards could have been paid off using the debt snowball, right? In 10, 14, right? 14 months, a year and 2 months. Then with that being said, I can build my emergency fund to let's just say 3 months, which is about, in that case, about $10,000. You already got 33. So now you only need what, 6,700. So now you got the $1,300 cash flow that you had originally. plus the minimum payments that you were making on all the credit cards, as it totaled up like the $690. So now you got a $1,900, almost a $2,000 cash flow. $2,000 cash flow to get $6,700. That's like what? 3.5 months. 3.5 months. 3.5 plus 2.5 to get the other one, 7, plus the 14, 21. So now 2 years you done eliminated debt. You got your emergency fund. 3 months. So now you can start tackling the other debts. That $23,000 personal loan, and the $25,000 car loan, and the $65,000 second mortgage, and the $103,000 mortgage. Once you, and doing the math, I'm just doing the math. Same thing she did with my handy dandy calculator, HP12C, and HP12C. With those four, after doing the math with that, with those loans, 33, 40, 61 months. With those high ones, 61 months. 61 months. That's what those other loans. Add that to what we say, the 21, make sure the math, 21, 28, 29, right? That's what, 7, 35. So you're looking at about 85 months, 86 months. But it might take a little longer. But in that time, remember, I established an emergency fund. So if you take away those 6 months, it's about the same time frame, 80 months. But you know what? I'm not using other people's money. I'm using my own money. I established an emergency fund. I don't have to worry about variable interest rates with a HELOC. I don't got to worry about the bank foreclosing on the loan, on a loan, on a HELOC. I don't got to worry about that. So yes, does velocity banking work? I'm sure it does. It does. I'm not even going to say it doesn't, because it does. But the risk, and most importantly, the mindset, it hasn't addressed the root problem, which is psychological, which is the mindset. It hasn't changed the mindset. It hasn't changed the behavior. You're just transferring debt. Just transferring debt. Again, I'm not saying nothing negative about this lady, but I wanted to do this because several people put in comments about one viewer said they was going to do velocity banking. What my thoughts on it? I was talking about it because I thought about it years ago. Wanted to share this video and do this, and you use make your judgment. You use your call. You done velocity banking and it worked for you. Good. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I'll be very slow to recommend that, because again, you're using revolving credit. It's like trying to get off the treadmill and ride the treadmill at the same time. That's dangerous. You can hurt yourself. You're running on a treadmill and trying to jump off it at the same time. No, you don't do that. You slow the treadmill down and eventually stop it, and then you get off. You don't just run the treadmill and try to run off. No, you're going to hurt yourself. That's what velocity banking is. You're running on that rat wheel and trying to get off at the same time. You're going to hurt yourself. So I'm going to end right there. Appreciate everyone's support. I really do. Encouraging, comments, and met some people. I went out to South Carolina recently, and the church event, saw some people that thanking me for the videos and helping them out. And look, I'm just sharing information. That's it. Sharing my story, sharing information. You got to do the work. I can help you if you want. And if you're ready to get help, ready to get off of that rat wheel, ready to become free to do what you want when you want, instead of having to do the things that you don't want, you're ready to invest in yourself. Come visit me at truefincoaching.com. Schedule your appointment. See how we can do, what you can do to help you get on your way to becoming free. Peace and blessings.